You're listening to Force Majeure, an actual play Star Wars podcast. My name is Adam and I'm your host, and today's episode will be brought to you after these words from our sponsors.
Has your Mega Stretcher been deemed unsafe? Have you been told to put unsightly handrails inside your Mega Stretcher so people don't fall down? Do you need a better solution than just simple handrails that can be circumvented by people just jumping over them? What you need is Ruriktas's netgun system. Modified from elite Imperial automated gunnery systems, our netgun system will notice someone falling off one of your large Mega Stretchers and fire a state-of-the-art netgun at them, rescuing them and also pinning them to one place, making sure that they can be easily retrieved at your pleasure. Yes, indeed, Ruriktas's netgun system has been approved by multiple organizations, including the Huts, and also the Huts. You should buy Ruriktas's netgun system today. A wholly owned subsidiary of the Huts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 28 of the Coldfire Chronicles. My name is Adam and I am your GM for this adventure, and I am joined around the table by...
Hi, my name's Mikey. I play Jiren. He's a Chiss Mystic Advisor. His emotional strength is his enthusiasm, but his emotional weakness is his recklessness.
Hi, I'm Mim. I play Lassa. She is a human sentinel artisan. Her emotional strength is her curiosity, but her weakness is obsession.
Hi, my name is Ed Fortune. I play the character of Baren. He is a human hunter, Ataru striker, seeker. His emotional strength is justice, and his emotional weakness is alienation.
Hi, I'm Ross. I play Agatha, a Morailan warrior aggressor colossus, whose emotional strength is his pride and whose weakness is his obsession.
Our camera zooms in to the frozen moon of Daxos. Down to a frozen waterfall, and then through the waterfall to a cave on the other side. A cave which is strangely too big for the space it contains. There are shimmers in the air, strange distortions, odd sounds just at the periphery of our hearing. It is cold and dark and smells of blood. In this cave we see the Coldfire's Mercy, shining with a rime of frost over the top of it. The gangplank is down of the Mercy, and on that gangplank we see Pyjak, still wearing his Clone Wars armour, trapped mostly underneath a net and then glopped in place with the thick epoxy from a glop grenade. Around him we see Agatha, standing to one side, fists dripping blood, another glop grenade held in his left hand readiness, just in case one's needed to once again secure Pyjak to the ramp. We see Lassa looking on, strange shimmers of energy like a heat haze rising from her hands from when she tore Pyjak's gun apart using her will and nothing more. We see Baron dragging the husk of a stormtrooper, withered and shriveled as though all the moisture has been drawn from the body. And we see Jiren, in his arms, the small, shattered form of Prinkle, who has just started drawing a breath. His eyes flicker open. They are covered in a milky opaqueness, which slowly starts to dissipate as he takes breath after shuddering breath. His small hand reaches out and grips onto Jiren's wrist with a grip far stronger than you'd expect from his small frame. And Jiren's other hand hangs limply at his side, close to the withered husk of the stormtrooper. Players.
I hold him tight. I hold him very tight. Jiren is crying. There are tears running down his face. I thought we lost you, my friend. I thought we lost you.
You've brought him back?
Lassa just digs her elbow into Agatha's ribs and shakes her head. Ixnay on the SD.
That was much closer than it needed to be.
We still have a few things to do. He glances over at Pyjak, clearly not out of the woods.
Pyjak is still struggling, and at some point his helmet has come off, and he fixes you all with a gaze, baleful and singular of purpose. There is no recognition in his eyes of you as friends, just enemies, targets to be eliminated. There is a white froth around the edges of his mouth as well, and when he opens his mouth to growl at you, long streams of spittle mow between his teeth. Good soldiers follow orders. Good soldiers follow orders.
This is not a good look for you.
Could you stun him? He's suffering.
One moment. I take very, very careful aim. I set the rifle to stun. I just want to say that again, Adam. I set the rifle to stun, and there is a stun shot.
It hits Pyjak, and he slumps down unconscious, only held up by the thick glop up to his waist. Prinkle blinks away the last of the room in his eyes, and kind of looks up into your tear-stricken face, Jiren.
Jiren, my friend, what happened? The last thing I recall, we came into here and then I heard Pyjak's gun and I saw the bolts coming for Agatha and I jumped to push him and then...
You got hit. My friend, you went down. But we have saved Pyjak now, so...
That is good. He did not sound very safe, but that might just be the last of...
No, my friend, he is not himself right now.
We need to do something... Oh, 1 second.
And Prinkle leans over and coughs up a thick chunk of kind of congealed blood out of his mouth, which splats as it hits the floor. He looks a little bit horrified at that and kind of raggedly wipes his mouth on his left wrist and then looks back up.
It must have been a very strong hit. I don't remember the getting shot, but I do not feel too well. Are we all okay? Is Agatha...
And he looks up and sees you standing there, Agatha. He's like,
Oh, my friend. You are okay. We are all okay. This is good.
and he kind of breathes and slumps.
Just keep holding on to him. Keep holding on to him.
Lassa's going to go, you did a bloody good job there, my love. I mean, hero of the rebellion and everything, eh, Agatha? And she digs Agatha in the ribs again in a kind of, come on, tell him he did good. And don't mention the dying bit.
You did very good, my friend. I'm doing all right. Agatha doesn't look physically wounded, but he is slightly trembling because he is quite near the end of his strain limit.
I am fairly sure, Agatha, that he saved your life.
Yes. Are there any more of them around? Is my concern at the moment.
Not that I can see. Baron is scanning. He's also gone over to Pyjak, made sure that he's not choked on his own tongue, or is in the wrong position. Essentially, moves him to the recovery position and checks the binders.
You can't really move him to the recovery position
because he's glopped.
Because he's glopped. But he's slumped forward. He's breathing raggedly, but he is breathing. He's deeply unconscious.
Do we have binders?
Yeah, Jiren has some, if you recall, but they are quite clearly deluxe models.
Recreational.
Yes.
I just go, binders? I look at them for like the briefest second. Look at the binders.
They work.
Yes, I'm sure they do. Probably much better than the ones Imperial troops have. And I make sure that he's bound, whilst being very kind of rabbit in headlights and looking for the next thing to happen.
We get Prinkle back to the ship. We get Pyjak back to the ship. We get them safe. We tell the ship to take off. And then we go and find 10th Brother. And we have a discussion about boundaries.
Prinkle kind of taps at your arm and gestures to want to be put down, Jiren.
And reluctantly, he does.
He stands and stretches himself out a little bit, coughs again a little bit weakly and goes,
There is the Mercy right there. We could always wait on there. Miss Captain Sparkles is on there, and maybe Tugger as well. And there might be more binders on there too. We had some. I am pretty sure, Jiren, you bought a bulk order at some point. I remember them being delivered to the ship on Port Haven anyway.
We haven't been on board yet.
We should go and have a look around. Prinkle, do you think if things go sideways, you will be able to take off in the Mercy by yourself?
He rubs his eyes and kind of puffs his chest out a little bit, and as he does so, you notice that, I think I mentioned it before, where his fur is normally kind of a mousy grey colour, where the bolts went in and then were healed, it is a thick, white fur, much denser than the rest of his fur. real obvious patches now poking through the holes in his clothes, but he pushes out his little chest and goes,
I have been watching Baren fly the ship. I can get us out of here if needs be. I may not be the pilot he is,
and he shoots you a weak smile, Ed.
but I can fly us out of here if needs be. I am sure.
Please fly the ship better than I make tea.
That will not be difficult.
And he grins.
Jiren also gives a very close-lipped grin at that. Okay. I want you to keep our escape hatch ready. This is for our escape, okay?
What about Pyjack? He does not look very well and he's still all gloppy.
We're going to bind him, and then you're going to have to look after him.
Okay?
I reckon we're going to need to take him somewhere and have his head proper looked at. I mean, I'd like to have a quick look at him with any of the medical equipment we've got, just so we can see what's in there. I don't know whether it's some kind of mind magic, or whether it's literally as simple as there is like a switch in his brain somewhere. Maybe something like a droid chip.
There has to be established medicine for clones, surely. There were millions of them.
Yes, but we don't know if this is something the 10th brother did to Pyjack himself. Do we?
I don't understand even how that part of the Force works.
You've seen Jiren do some stuff, haven't you?
I could make you do things, but I couldn't make you do things extended period. I couldn't say, this is how your personality is going to be forever. I can make you stand on one leg if so was desired.
It was a code word.
It was.
I've seen people, right, at spaceports, some of the people, for coins, they can make you up on one leg, make you think you're some kind of monkey, and it's all to do with the mind. And then there's normally a trigger word, a code word, just like Barra said. And it'll make you, I don't know, you could think you're a blooming bantha for all I know, all that kind of stuff. But
if I was an amoral arms dealer, and I used to be, I would take my large army of clone soldiers and absolutely make sure that there were certain key commands and failsafes in them. Lasser, you must have a better idea as to how you would do that to a living being.
While this discussion is going on, because I'm assuming nobody's jumping out at us from anywhere else in the area, or for that matter, from inside the ship, but nevertheless, Agatha is going to just get up, come over Pyjack on the cargram and actually board the Coldfire's Mercy and just scout around to make sure there's nobody left on board. Or for that matter, find the cat.
I'm going to say, I think I'm going to have the camera follow you very quickly, if that's all right, then return to the conversation between the rest of the players outside.
I don't know. Part of me really feels that we should be just like, oh, you going, Agatha? You sort of walk off in the middle of a conversation? All right then, bye. I don't know. We've been having bonding moments and everything, and there you are, just like not even to buy your leave, or I'm just going to nip off and do something. Here we are discussing about whether our friend is literally being mind controlled. And you're like, well, need Lou. Better go.
As fascinating as this discussion is, Lasser, and I agree with you, we should definitely have it, I want to make sure there are no more stormtroopers about to jump out at us while we have it.
All right.
You're a protector, Agatha. Do what you need to do.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's how Agatha's put together.
I know, but communication...
It's just what he is.
Communication, people.
Jiren gives Lasser a hug. It's not a big hug. It's not like we've missed you forever, but kind of like a very... He puts his arm around you and just gives you a squeeze.
Get off me.
He grins.
That was said with mock anger, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Agatha heads into the Mercy. The systems on the Mercy are ticking over in standby, so the life support is on, running at the levels that are needed, which means things like the oxygen cycling aren't working because the console has detected you are on a ship, an area with a breathable atmosphere, and the, portal is down. So there's no point running the aircon when you're heating the entire cave.
You sound like a dad.
Yeah. Your footsteps do echo oddly on the Mercy, but there's not... Your danger sense isn't tickling here. There's nothing immediately telling you that there are threats on the Mercy as you're kind of doing a room-by-room sweep. And then you get to the cockpit, and you see Captain Sparkles, who is curled up in his little basket on top of Tugger's head. There is those blaster holes through Tugger that Beren saw in his vision. And when Captain Sparkles sees you, he blinks owlishly, he yawns, he stands up, he stretches, he walks over to you, looks up and just goes, "Meow," and then walks over to the cupboard where his treats are and sits waiting, staring at you.
Agatha remembers the chain of command and goes over to the cupboard.
Oh god, I'm not the captain anymore.
As you start getting the treats out, he starts purring frantically and kind of rubbing himself up against your leg until the treats come down, at which point he immediately ignores you to start eating treats. Still purring, but like you are now, his tail is flicking, you have been dismissed. Your purpose has been served. He looks fine.
Okay.
Given the state that Pyjack's in, like clearly he was not so far gone that he wasn't looking after the cat.
I'm going to communicate back to the rest of the players. I found Captain Sparkles and Tugger. Sparkles is fine. He's now having some treats. Tugger's been damaged.
The question is, do we have time to fix Tugger? I don't think we do.
I don't know. I can have a look at him and see how bad it is.
Yes, this is not Agatha's skill.
I mean, I'm not going to say Agatha doesn't know droids, but he wouldn't know whether it was plugged in or not.
Yeah.
I say that with respect, my friend.
Is there enough working in the cockpit that Agatha can at least see what the most recent flight plan was, as in whether this ship just came directly here from Alpin, or it might be a computing test or something. I don't know.
No. Yes, it did effectively. It was a slower journey. There was lots of short hyperspace jumps along the way, almost as if the ship moved, stopped, waited for a signal, moved, stopped, waited for a signal. But as the Bogwing flies, it was a straight run from Alpin to here.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, how long's it been here?
Hard to tell. There is something going on with time. The chronometers are giving strange readings. It's telling you it's 13 minutes into the future and 13 minutes in the past at the same time, and alternating between the two. It doesn't seem to know what time it is.
Okay.
What I will say, just to kind of give you an overview of where you currently stand then. If you want to get Pyjack on the ship, someone's going to have to chip him out the glop, which is not a hard thing to do, but it's going to take a little bit of effort. The med bay on Coldfire's Mercy is still fine and in working order, it's just in standby, and if you recall, was a very good med bay because this was used as a rebel fighter for a while. They didn't skimp on the guns and the med bay in this place. If you're prepared to take a little bit of time here, which I imagine you are as you chip out Pyjack and move him in, you can also roll to recover some strain.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we should do. I think we should chip Pyjack out, put him in to heal. Maybe Lassa should look at Tugger and see if she can at least get him operational to help Prinkle if they need to leave. And Agatha and anybody else will get as much strain back as they possibly can.
And somebody have a look at his brain if you can. Just, I'm sure there's something there.
I can have a look.
Thank you, Duran. I don't know whether it's the kind of thing you can do or whether whether there's something else, you know?
Well, I can probably tell you if he's already been affected by something. But I don't think I can do anything to sort it. I'm just not that good at that sort of thing.
Basically, I want to know whether this is mystical or surgical. There's got to be a reason for it, right?
So we have some superb medical facilities on board the Coldfire. Adam, is it possible to do a full scan to see if there's anything weird going on?
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know what buttons to press, but I feel we should be looking for something. If it's medical, we need to look for something that's recently been used, but might have been there a long time. Does that make sense?
I reckon so. I don't know. Just look for something that probably shouldn't be there. That's all I know.
What's the comparative medical capabilities of the other ship?
The Gambit,
Yeah.
No, it's basic.
not a patch on the Mercy.
The Gambit was it's for attacking, but we don't really care about other pirates. We ripped a lot of the stuff out to get the jacuzzi in.
And from what we call, how medically capable are our other crew members who are still on board it?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
They're basically the cast of the movie Hook, aren't they?
Yeah, they are very much the cast of the movie Hook. One of them is played by Glenn Close.
So if we start off with Pyjack then, and the medical bay and the scan in the first instance. So I'm assuming you chip him out the glop, strip him out of his armour,
Yeah.
and disarm him of all of his weapons, and then probably manacle him to the bed.
Yep, that's the sort of thing, exactly. We're stripping him out his armour specifically because we need to put loads of different connectors on him and things like that, I imagine. But also, I don't want him in his armour. It's not unkind. Everything's all put to the side. It's all put neat, as if you might need it again.
I'm just going to mention I've got 1 rank in medicine, so I might be able to help with this.
You are a little better at medicine.
I do also have to focus on Tugger.
Focus on Tugger. Because, to be brutally honest, Hijack's mind, now he's here, can wait. I'd rather spend more time on him and do it right than rush it, because we have to go and deal with 10th Brother. But what we do need is Tugger to be able to fly this out of here if Prinkle and Pyjack need to escape. So I'll have a look, but I don't think I'll be able to fix him. But we might be able to see what we're looking at. Okay?
If we can't fix him, we can't have him as a threat that 10th Brother can activate.
Oh, no. We will fix him. We're going to fix him. But we might not be able to fix him right now.
If it helps, I know from when I was doing some work in here in the cleaning that we have quite a lot of sedatives still in to help with long-term healing. So if we cannot fix our friend now, and it is something more than him just being all woogly brained from what 10th Brother has said, we can at least keep him snoozing until we get him to someone that can help him at the very least. And I will be here to guard him and make sure he is okay and nothing bad happens to him. Now I am here with my... Where's my broom? Now I am here and will find my broom at some point. I will make sure that nothing more happens to our friend. You have things to do, but this is a job I can handle. Although you will have to look after Agatha for me. I cannot be in both places yet. Unless they clone me as well.
We're not cloning you, my friend, but I will look after Agatha. This is what a captain does. And, alright, I might not be the captain of this ship anymore. Where is that cat? But I am the captain of a ship, and I will look after you. So, shall we have a look at Pyjack first? We strap him to the bed, overly zealous on the making sure he can't get out of things. You know, legs as well, that sort of everything.
Sorry, I really like to think that the idea that even the cat comes and sits on his chest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's going to happen at some point fairly shortly, because that is the nature of cats.
As soon as Bowen sees the captain, he is making an absolute fuss. Like, there's no hesitation, there's no stop. There's like, I will go from being super serious and very cold to, who's a good guy? Who's a good guy? Who's a good guy?
And I'm not actually trying to do a great deal of medicine, because I'm right in thinking that this is somebody's brain. Of all people, Duran knows brains are delicate, and you can't rush these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ability to affect people's minds, just to basically push in and see if there's anything that's almost feel around. It's a little vague and not quite on the sort of thing, but it might give me the idea of whether there's something already there. Because then that's stricken that out of the way, and then we can look into it. Because Jiren is not going to rush this and break his friend after we've sacrificed so much to get here.
I know the rules don't really do this, but you've got healing and you've got mind bending as abilities. Those two must have some sort of like synchronicity in regards to this.
I'm certainly looking for things that seem to be broken, because I can touch on people's minds, and I just want to see what's there.
Okay, I think I want a discipline roll from you, with your force dice as part of that, because that's kind of how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the difficulty, I think, is going to be 1 red, 2 purple, because this is not the usual way of using those powers.
Yeah, surely. Okay. That is 1 success, 2 disadvantages, and 3 dark side.
I think you're going to need to spend a force point to have this work at all, because that's how you're doing it. So even with the success, I think I'm going to want a force pip spending of some form.
Okay, yeah, we will spend it.
I think it is going to be too strain for this. I don't want to tick up the sadness clock just yet, because it's not the right time for it. So I'm going to give you 2 strain, because this is draining. You're pushing your powers in a way that's unusual for them. There is something there.
Okay.
You can't quite work out what it is, but pushing your senses and your will out into Pyjack, and as Ed said, kind of combining your ability to influence people's minds with your ability to influence people's bodies, there is something there in his brain. This goes beyond like a post-hypnotic suggestion. You get the impression of chains of black iron wrapped around his will, forcing him into a path that he doesn't particularly want to take, but he's being held on there like a dog on a leash and not being allowed to stray from the path. But that leash is not just will. It is not just a suggestion, it is not just the Force. There is something else in Pyjak, in his brain.
Physically in his brain?
Physically in his brain.
Right, okay.
That is holding that leash. It is a combination of the two, will and body, that is holding him to that path.
Usually I'd say, can I use my Force powers to kind of unshackle him briefly, but considering I use a dark side, I'm not going to suggest that, because it's only negative emotions you can really do. I can't really calm him. So,
okay. But yeah, and that is also possibly why he's not been able to resist, even though he clearly wanted to, because it's not just him putting his will against someone else's will. There's something there too, but you don't know where or what. You are just aware that there is some additional biological component.
From an outside perspective, Jiren walks over, puts his hand on Pyjak's shoulder, and then the other hand on his forehead, and closes his eyes. You know when you see somebody's having a nightmare, and they're a little bit twitchy, and they're a little bit, and you can see them kind of stressing about stuff, but there's nothing really you can do about it. For about 5-6 seconds, Pyjak seemingly has a nightmare. He is struggling against something. Jiren is straining his jaw, is pushing his will into Pyjak. And then after the briefest, 5-6 seconds, they both relax. There's something in his head. I click my communicator. Lasser, there's something in his head.
When you say something in his head, you don't just mean someone, right? There is something physical.
Something there. Yep. Like, I don't know, like a cybernetics or something. I don't know. Something is...
Oh, I'm an idiot. Cass, if you've got an entire army of clones and you want to make sure that not a single one of them could ever be turned away from the cause, why wouldn't you try and program them? Not just biologically programmed, but actually programmed, so that there is no dissent, and if need be, you can make them ignore any moral instruction or imperatives they might have had, anything they might have gained from experience. But right there, deep down in their core, is some kind of switch you can flick when you need to, and they will do whatever you want. It makes perfect sense. They never treated these things like people. They were, things.
So Bowen's still playing with the cat, and then he just stops for a moment and goes, so sometimes I do have problems with navigating moral difficulty, but can I just check? That's completely evil, yes?
Yeah.
Good. Totally the sort of thing my family would do. I mean, they wouldn't make clones, they would just provide the chips.
Maybe they did, who knows? But the thing that I would say is I can sort this, but I don't think I can sort this without killing him, which is probably not what you wanted.
You're going to need someone who knows brain surgery. Basically, I imagine. It's the only place I'd put anything to try and control someone. You'd need access to all of that brain stuff.
There has to be someone who is familiar with clones. There were millions of them. There's bound to be someone... Well, we can't go and ask the Empire, so maybe the Rebellion? Maybe ask Brinkle. Brinkle might know someone who knows someone.
Brinkle, do you know someone who knows someone?
I don't know, but I might do. I know someone, but I don't know who those someones know.
When we get out of this and we sort out the external problem with Pyjak's brain, then we'll go and sort out the internal problem, okay?
I have at least one favor left owing to me for the work I have done. I will gladly cash it in to save my friend.
Which reminds me, everybody get ready. We're going to go and talk to a Jedi. Is he a Jedi? What? We're going to go and talk to somebody, okay?
Where are we going now?
We're going to go and find 10th Brother, and we're going to deal with this issue.
I've still got a lot of work to do with Tugger, if that's all right.
Do it quickly, Lesser. I don't want him getting away again, because he can come back and take Pyjak whenever he wants.
Where do you believe 10th Brother is?
Somewhere on the planet.
It's a big planet.
Yeah, not many things around here, though. He's certainly not here, though. So, let's get ourselves ready, and we'll do some scanning. We'll see where we can find him. We have connections with the Stormtroopers' comms. We can probably figure it out.
Ah, yes. There must be a surviving Stormtrooper helmet around here somewhere.
Lasser's got connections with the Stormtroopers. She heard their comms before. Is that not right, Lasser?
I mean, yeah, and I had an idea about where some of them were situated, but...
Okay. Well, let's go and find some more Stormtroopers and we can discuss it with them.
I think at this point, Mim, I will let you know the state that Tugger is in, and we can work on what you want to do with that. So, Tugger's chassis is damaged, but repairable. The biggest problem you have is the first blaster bolt that went in at point-blank range through his droid brain.
Oh.
It looks like Pyjak, presumably, when they landed here, just pulled his pistol while they were sat together, because Tugger's still in his astrogation dock, and just shot him through the head. So you can probably repair Tugger, and there is enough schematics in the ship to re-download some of the astrogation protocols. But Tugger himself, his core personality, the memories that Tugger had, if you want to restore them, you're going to need a lot more time. There's probably a backup somewhere within the Mercy's databases, but it's something that you're going to need to sit down and actively look for. If what you want to do, however, is just quickly put him back together and bootstrap him up to the point where there are call and response functions and the ability to astrogate, that is something that's going to be a little bit easier to do. He won't be back to being a full AI, he'll be more of a drone, but you can always bootstrap him up to that level and then upgrade him properly and restore his memories and core functions when you're off planet and have the luxury of a week or so of trawling through the databases, reinstalling a new droid brain, that sort of thing.
Is it possible for a droid on one ship to make the calculations for the ship on the other? As in, it can work in tandem like that. One can be secondary to the other for that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're both going to the same place, yeah, you can almost certainly have one droid doing the calculations for both and effectively tow
Yeah.
through hyperspace.
Okay.
I mean, I'm concerned for Tugger in himself, but I want us to survive this.
What do you want to do then?
Lassa's never particularly been bothered about droid rights, shall we say. She's happy to get along with them, but ultimately she views them as machines. So as long as this machine can fulfill its purpose, she's not going to waste time overcomplicating things. So she can demote him from happy, friendly droid to a robot that will get us where we need to go. That's what she's going to do, and she's not too bothered about preserving anything about his identity. He hasn't been with us really long enough to make it a big emotional dilemma for her. So...
I mean, it took us 5 seasons for you to like us, never mind a droid.
And you remember how I was with Steve, and Steve had a really vibrant personality, and I've still got his head somewhere. I think, maybe.
It's in your workshop in the Mercy.
Oh.
Did we not use it at Port Haven?
Yeah, so it's on the Gambit rather than here. But you could always steal the droid brain from Steve, purge it, and then plug it into Tugger when you get back onto the Gambit. That's a quicker way around it. Because let's be honest, you're not going to need it to reheist on Port Haven.
Oh.
No siree.
Oh.
So I think I'm going to want a mechanics test first of all to try and just get Tugger's chassis fixed. Now ordinarily this is going to take quite a bit of time for both of these ones. So assuming that what you want to do is just a quick patch job, a good enough is good enough, rather than something that will last for the future, I'm going to factor that into the difficulties and the time scale. So I'm going to want a difficulty 3 mechanics test first of all, please, to repair Tugger enough to function.
Huh. That really should have rolled better than that. Was I...
No!
Oh, no.
Next on Mim Rolls Dice.
Oh. So 1 failure, 3 advantage, and 3 dark side points to play with. So I'm going to have to spend one of those dark sides to make this not fail, aren't I?
You're probably going to have to spend 2, one to counteract the failure, one to give you a success.
That's fine. I can pile any stress that I have had recently into focusing on this wonderful task of fixing a droid, and let my grumpiness and hate flow into the droid instead of me.
So that's 2 strain, but you do manage to pull enough back together to be able to get Tugger's chassis functional again as an astrogation hub, effectively. It's going to take a little bit of time, but time is strange here as well, not helped by the fact the chronometers in the ship keep jumping around. And if you check your own personal chronometers as well, it looks like as soon as you entered Pyjack's house, they just stopped working. You have no idea how long you've been down here. Can I please have a difficulty 3 computers test now, please, Mim, to pump enough astrogation knowledge and call and response function?
Yep, I don't get my force dice for this.
You don't know.
Oh, good.
I did have 3 advantage to spend from that last roll. Can I spend one of those advantage for a boost at least, or 2 of them for a boost?
Yeah, I would say if you spend 1 of those for your boost and 2 for cutting down the amount of time required to actually repair it from several hours to not several hours.
Yeah, that works. Oh, that's better. That's much better. 3 successes, but 2 threat. I think I'm better off that way. At least it is successful. It just might not last forever.
One of those threats is going to be another strain.
Okay.
The other threat is going to tick the sadness clock.
Oh, sorry.
And that ticks the sadness clock over, because you've just been taking a little bit too long here. Before I tell you what that does, I'm now going to let you all roll to recover strain, because you might need it.
Oh.
That is either a cool or a discipline test. No difficulty. You get a strain back for every success and every advantage. Which I'm still not convinced is rules as written, but it's rules as me.
Just a curious thing to let everybody know who's listening to this. Lassa, who is stubborn as a mule and doesn't care what people think of her or how she looks. She has 1 rank in cool and none in discipline. Just for the irony there.
He's hard skilling it all the way.
Adam, I rolled 3 successes and 1 advantage, which actually takes me back up to my full strain.
Hurrah!
So I think while this is all going on, Prinkle makes himself busy, goes and puts the kettle on.
Yeah.
And we all feel a little bit normal, just for a little bit, because we're all doing stuff on the Coldfire's mercy.
I get 4 advantage. That's the power of fussing with a cat, to be honest.
I have rolled 2 success and 2 advantage, and I'm just going with, I found Pyjack. This was what I wanted.
Yeah, it's the relief of that's one thing down. Your obsession has been met for the moment.
I got 1 success and 1 advantage. I've still got a bit of strain. I've still got 2 strain left on my character base, but...
Are you getting frustrated with fixing a droid? Doesn't quite chill you out as much as you usually expect.
It's been good to relax and feel a bit normal, but in her head is the ultimate solution to fixing everything is getting rid of 10th Brother and having to fix Pyjack. So it's not just, well, once we've dealt with 10th Brother, now it's, we're going to have to deal with both. And if not, we're going to have to deal with both, if you get my meaning.
So, some time has passed on the Mercy. It's not entirely clear how much time. Pyjack is sedated, strapped into the medical bed. The medical beds here, because there's a few in your kind of small medical ward, and they have the restraining straps for people, because sometimes when you're dealing with battlefield casualties and battlefield injuries, you need to strap people down so you can work on them. So they're built into the bed. You still have the binders on him as well, just to be on the safe side. He has a couple of drips going into him, one replenishing fluids, because it's quite clear that Pyjack, while he may have been looking after Captain Sparkles, has not been looking after himself. There is some early stage malnutrition going on here. He also has a sedative drip going in, just enough to keep him under for a period of time. And having made a round of drinks, Prinkle has stationed himself in the medical bay for the moment, with his comms open, keeping an eye on his friend, and Captain Sparkles, having been fed and satisfied that all is once again right in his domain, is curled up on Pyjack's chest, sleeping quietly. Lassa has done her best with Tugger's chassis and has managed to put enough protocols in there that Tugger can act as an astrogation hub and pair with the Gambit. And I'm going to say that as part of this as well, you have established not a full comm channel, because there is something blocking your signal. Maybe it's just the fact that you're deep underground behind a waterfall, but there is at least a tight beam nav link between the two ships. That at least you've managed to set up. And then you feel a pull, a wave of coldness and fear and anger and hate, a distilled wave of everything dark and negative washes over you all like the tide, and like the tide going out, you feel a pull trying to carry you, try to lift you, try to move you from the shore where you're settled for the moment, trying to catch your breath, and drag you deep, deep underwater on a riptide current. And an image comes with that wave. There is a figure made of shadows, wreathed in darkness, a burning red blade gripped in its right hand. They are standing in Pyjack's meditation chamber, and they reach out their left hand and they beckon you.
Come then, let us finish this.
And that is where I'm ending the episode for today. Thank you very much to my players. And before we go, this episode's patron is George. George has been with us for a while and has just finished a re-listen of Coldfire up to the current point. I'm sorry that, as a reward for your patronage, you now need to wait for the next episode. Hardly seems like a fair trade. But there we are. Thank you very much for your support, George, and I hope the wait isn't too long. And of course, thank you to all of you, our listeners as well. Stay safe, stay well, and we will see you all next time. Force Majeure is played using the Star Wars Force and Destiny game system by Fantasy Flight Games and Lucas Books. Our intro music for this season is Unholy Night by Kevin MacLeod, and our outro music remains Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale, both used with gratitude under the Creative Commons license. If you like the show and want to interact with us, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, all of which are at Force Majeure Pod, though Twitter is probably where you're going to find us more regularly. If you enjoy what we do and want to support the show, there's 3 ways you can do that. The first is via our Patreon at patreon.com/forcemajeurepod. The second is by buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/forcemajeurepod. And the third way is by rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find us. We really like reviews. It tells us that we're telling the stories that you want to hear and helps other people find us. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.